If you actually manage to track down the 4 or 5 people who actually main the British in War Thunder, they'll probably tell you not to even bother grinding the tech tree. But they'll also probably tell you that the biggest issue is the complete lack of mobility of most tanks. Most of the early ranks of the British tech tree have basically a 4km/h reverse speed, which is so bad that the crew as well may have well just got out and ran it. And even at top tier, our British tanks were designed basically taking the average American in mind, i.e. they were fat and bloated. That one's probably a little bit too edgy. Please don't shoot me, Americans. Anyway, well, the Vickers Mk.11 is here to solve all the British tech tree's issues. This is a 6x6 wheeled vehicle, which was marketed by the producer as a border patrol vehicle, whatever that is. So this vehicle was never designed to take on main battle tanks, so Gaijin decided to add it to War Thunder. Another W for the British tech tree. Anyway, the Vickers Mk.11 is coming in the 6th rank of the British tech tree, and it currently sits at battle rating 8.7 for arcade, realistic and simulator. Is it probably going to stay at that battle rating? Kind of, yeah. It's also going to cost you 170,000 RP points to unlock it, and 470,000 silver lines to purchase it. And quickly, boys, for our crew train costs, we've got 135,000 silver lines, not too bad. And for the expert qualification, it's 470,000 silver lines, and for the ace qualification, it's 2,000 golden eagles. As with all tanks approaching the top tiers of War Thunder, I would recommend at least getting the expert qualification. It'll help you repair faster and, of course, reload that main gun. So is this new funky looking tank with a strange 6x6 chassis and 105mm gun worth your time? Or like most of the tanks currently in the 6th rank of the British tech tree, is it largely forgettable and rather underpowered? Well, lads, stick around for the rest of the video if you'd like to find out. Alright boys, welcome back. So as always, we're going to start with the engine and mobility, arguably the most important thing in a light tank. And boys, it's not looking too great. We have a power to weight ratio of 17.5 horsepower per ton, not really too important for a wheeled vehicle, but the tank generally does feel very sluggish to drive. If you run over any sort of little obstacle, even like a deck chair, you completely stop. The tank just feels incredibly weak powered. As usual, Gaijin has messed up all the gearing ratios for this tank. Your driver will trying to climb up a hill in 5th gear and you'll just stall. The tank top speed though of 106km/h is nice. You won't really get up to it on any map that doesn't have pavement. But the biggest issue is the 10km/h reverse speed. This is a huge kick in the balls for any light tank lovers out there, as it means you can't really use this to push a corner and then rapidly retreat, which in my opinion seriously restricts this tank's ability to function as a scout. Because of this lack of mobility, or at least some aspects of mobility, the tank really can't be played as a traditional light tank in my opinion. It kind of feels like playing the M18 Hellcat in a way. Just because you've got decent mobility doesn't mean you should use it. You're going to put yourself in positions which you can't really get out of. And that's mainly due to the survivability of the Mk.11. If we take a quick look at this x-ray, we can see that we've got a crew of 4 men, with a driver in the front and a gunner, commander and loader located in the fighting compartment of the turret. The ammunition is quite sparsely populated, I guess, in the turret, which can make it hard for enemies to kill you in a single hit with a sable round. And a lot of the tank is actually a void. Well, this brings us on to the biggest weakness of the Mk.11, and that is the terrible armor. On the hull, we only have 10mm of aluminium, which is far weaker than steel armor, and the thickest part of this tank's armor scheme is actually the windscreen with 60mm of bulletproof glass. Just bear in mind that 60mm of glass isn't the same as 60mm of steel. Again, it is much weaker, but I think you get the idea. This tank basically has absolutely no survivability whatsoever. Getting shot with a smoke grenade in War Thunder is probably a death sentence for the Mk.11. This poor armor scheme though does make you incredibly easy to overpress with any sort of high explosive ammunition. This makes it incredibly risky to use this tank in the vicinity of close air support, as well as enemy artillery, even friendly artillery thinking about it, as you will get overpressured very easily from any nearby chemical rounds. A light tank with poor survivability. I'm sure you're saying, SAKO, that isn't anything new whatsoever in War Thunder. But in game, most light tanks can at least have a decent reverse speed and get out of dodge when things go south. But as I've already stated, that just isn't really an option with the Mark 11. You're just going to be sat there holding S, looking like a twat, trying to reverse away, while the enemy just gets a single shot into you and sends you to the Shadow Realm. Something that we don't usually expect from light tanks though is a very good 105mm cannon. This is a variant of the Royal Ordnance L7, with just a slightly lower pressure gun to go in a much lighter chassis. We get 31 rounds of ammunition, with 19 of those being first class, or first stage ammo rather. Not first class, I don't think it gets the ability to smoke and a free glass of champagne. What the tank does get though is 10 degrees of gun depression, very nice for this vehicle. The tank is actually quite high up, so having 10 degrees of gun depression does allow you to poke your head over certain things and get a cheeky shot in. But naturally that high height does have some negatives as well, as you can imagine. I.e. people can see you from miles away. We have 20 degrees of gun elevation as well. Not the best really, can't really engage any low flying helicopters very easily. But then again, that's not really a valid criticism. It's not exactly designed for anti-air. The gun's reload, like all NATO 105mm guns, is 6.7 seconds with a fully aced crew. But if you just unlock this tank, your crew is going to be looking at an 8.7 second reload, which for a light tank will feel like an eternity. As we'll see shortly, the ammunition for this tank is very good, but when it comes to the reload speed, you essentially just have a standard medium tank reload. It's not like most light tanks where you can get several shots off before a larger tank can fire back at you. You essentially have a medium tank gun on a lightweight chassis. The turret traverse rate is also pretty good, as you'd expect from a light tank. We have a 40 degree per second turret traverse rate with an ace crew. That's the same as the XM1. So the gun handling is pretty decent. Then take a quick look at the modifications, and the first thing to point out is that this tank does not get thermal imaging. This isn't a major weakness, but the Warrior at battle rating 8.3 does get it. Also worth mentioning is the lack of a scout UAV. This is a light tank, obviously in the 6th rank of the British Tech tree, but for some reason it doesn't get a scout UAV. This might be a glitch by Guardian having forgot to add it to it, but I'm pretty sure every light tank in rank 6 and 7 should get a UAV. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but it is worth noting that this tank does not have the ability to scout for yourself and your teammates. We then come on to the ammunition, and we have 3 available. We've got the M456A2 Heater Fest round, pretty decent, but you're not really going to be using this when you unlock the better shells. We also have the M393A2 Hesh shell, pretty decent, 127mm of pen, never really going to be using Hesh though. But finally, for our APFSDS round, we have the C76A1. This round used to get dunked on quite a lot by the War Thunder community, as it was it had a little bit of a funny streak where it had very good penetration against angled armor, but against flat armor it didn't really do much damage. Quite strange, to be honest. Guardian seems to have sorted this out now, and it does have 204mm of penetration against armor angled at 60 degrees. From my experience playing the Vickers Mk.11, the C76A1 hasn't really let me down. It has good angled penetration and good post-pen damage, creates a lot of spoiling, and I have been getting quite a lot of one-hit kills. So the firepower of the tank is incredibly good in my opinion. It's just let down by its large stature and lack of mobility really, especially that poor reverse speed. But it does fill in a little bit of a niche in the British Tech tree. That is the lack of a mobile vehicle with decent firepower at around 8.7. While the Warrior is a decent little light tank, and in general in my opinion a much better all-round vehicle for light tank / scout vehicle duties. And the Rurikat Mark 1D is probably a better wheeled mobile firepower tank in my opinion. I do still think there is a place for the Vickers Mk.11 in War Thunder though. It fits well into the battle rating 8.7 lineup, which is becoming an emerging meta for the British, alongside the Chieftains and the Rurikat, as I said, even the Strikers making a comeback. So if you're new to the British Tech tree or you're just approaching rank 6, then I would recommend unlocking it and playing it. It's got a decent little tank. It's not amazing, but it does fill that niche. And because of its battle rating of 8.7, you avoid the nasty up tiers to 10.0 matches. However, if you've already grinded out all of the British Tech tree, I wouldn't recommend going back and getting this thing. It's just not exceptional gameplay, and as I said, it just feels like a fat medium tank that basically has no purpose. Anyway boys, I want to thank you all for watching, and especially a big thank you to all my YouTube members, especially Lola Alfonsi, Tans, Daboa LX, Dr. Bob, Tomster013, RS28 Sarmat, Pumpin, Schlunty, Van Halen, and our newest YouTube member, Diogenes. As always, thank you very much for subscribing lads, and I'll see you in the next video. Hey lads, if you made it this far into the video, then thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I have a whole load of other content on my channel, including tutorials and other vehicle reviews, so why not give them a watch, and if you like them, please do consider subscribing. Thanks again for watching though boys, I've been SAKO, and I'll see you in the next video.